Hi, everyone, and welcome to Confessions of an Autism Mom. I am Amanda, and this week we have another amazing mom named Shaday, and she is here to share her journey about autism with her and her son. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So let's go ahead and jump right on in. Can you start off by sharing your journey as a mother raising a child with autism?
Yes. So I am Shaday. I am a 32-year-old single mommy to two boys. I have a 3 and 4 year old. My 4 year old Kelson, he has autism. He's nonverbal. Um, my journey thus far has been very well. It started off challenging, confusing, a lot of unanswered questions. But as time went on and went by, I kind of started to make peace about everything, and it definitely has helped through the journey. I still have my days, but it's better.
That's good. And what was your first experience of noticing your son like having autism, the different signs?
He wasn't responding to his name. He was about 2 years old, and I would be like, "Oh, Kelson, hey, Kelson." Kids would normally like turn to their mom or their dad, and he wasn't responding to us. But you can be like right beside him, and it was just like as if it was nothing, and no little to no eye contact as well. Like he really didn't look at you for too long. He would kind of like gaze. His eyes would like gaze to like the side.
Uh-huh.
Um, he did that a lot, and that used to creep me out because I'm like, what's wrong with him? Like, why is his eyes doing that? I didn't understand at that
Yeah.
time. And he did a lot of things repetitively. Like he would line up his toys like by threes, by colors, and he
Oh,
loved shoes. So he would have like his shoes lined up really neatly. So like those things I'm noticing, I'm like, he's 2 years old. And I'm like, he's so particular about his cars and he loves shoes. And I was just like, it wasn't like a thing. I'm like, at two, kids take to different things, but I'm like, why is he lining up his cars, by colors and numbers? And why is he so into shoes so much? So I just didn't get it. But like
yeah.
those were like the things that I noticed.
Yeah. That was one of the things I noticed too. Like my baby, we would have the water bottles in the cabinet and he would like move them from one shelf to the other, but he would line them up in like a straight line. And I was like,
Hmm.
what is going on? But I mean, now he doesn't do it. He doesn't line up as much, but he did do that. So while I am doing like these interviews, I'm learning that each state has like a different process of getting like the child diagnosed. I know like in Texas they have to see a early intervention. It's called an EIC
Hmm.
um pediatrician. Is that the same in Maryland where you're from, or do you all just get the request or referral from your pediatrician?
So I had spoke to the when I spoke to his pediatrician about what was going on. She was mentioning autism and some other things, and she was just like, "Let me give you a referral," and she referred me to what we have here called infants and toddlers, where they help kids around like from I think like age like 2 to like 5 or something like that, and they were providing like in-home services for speech OT. So once I got the referral, I reached out to them and let them know that the pediatrician recommended that he get evaluated, and they came out to my home and evaluated him for about like a week. After that, they were like, okay, he's showing. They didn't want to say off the rip like, oh yeah, he has autism. So they like were sending out the specialists like, okay, let's see how he does with like speech and OT, and just kind of like watching him for a while. And then
Okay.
that's when we kind of got the diagnosis from there.
Okay.
And that's when they continued the speech and the OT with him at home.
And how did you feel after you received the diagnosis?
um I had a lot of emotions. Like I felt sad. I felt like it was my fault. I was like, was it something I was eating or drinking? Did I not take enough vitamins? Did I mess up his brain development? Like I was like, I don't know. It was a lot of emotions. Just really sad,
Mhm.
really in denial, really depressed. Just because he was my first, my first child, my first
Yeah.
son. So I was just like, not my baby, like Like why? It's my first experience with my son, and then here we are already battling, tackling something already so soon.
Right.
So it was, yeah.
I understand you. Like, I completely can understand you because my first son, and I was like, what did I do wrong? And so I made a post on Threads, and this lady was like, y'all are, well, she told me I was selfish because I basically said that I always think back what I could have done differently. Was it something I
Hmm.
ate, or did I take enough vitamins? Which I know I did, but how do you feel about that? Because I know quite a few moms, like we say that we reflect back on our
Yeah.
pregnancy, and people are saying that's selfish and that's kind of like rude to reflect back on your pregnancy and think you did something wrong. How do you feel about that?
I think that's so weird to say because we are the ones, we're sitting in those feelings and in that moment, like, okay, could this have been my fault? That's just like if a parent has a child who has like Down syndrome, anything of that nature. It's just you're automatically going to go back to, okay, maybe I should have did this more, or maybe I should have did that, maybe I should have done less of this, maybe I should have been more asking more questions at my appointments. Like everything starts running through your mind. I think that's really weird to say because it's getting a diagnosis of any kind, for your child. It's not easy news to take. So I don't know.
Yeah. So how do you feel now? Because he's 4, so you've
He
been with him
just
for a
turned
while.
5.
Oh,
Yes, I
sweet
know.
baby. Oh, they
Yes.
grow up so fast.
I know. He
They
just
grow
turned
up
5.
super fast.
Yes.
So how do you feel now that you're years into like the autism journey?
Um, I feel better emotionally and mentally. I'll say that because initially in the beginning it was a lot of blaming myself and I didn't understand him. And I felt bad because I was like, I feel like I don't know my child. I was just doing what any mom would do, caring for him, but I just didn't understand him and what he was going through. When he would have like the meltdowns and he would, get upset and bang his head on things and throw things and destroy my home at literally 2 years old. Like it was a lot. He was very aggressive, to be so little, and I wasn't getting any rest. He would be up half the night crying and screaming at the top of his lungs for hours.
Yeah.
So that was a lot. It was days where I honestly used to be like, I'm gonna drop him off and don't look back, or I'm gonna, you know, put him in a system because I can't do this. I can't take this. This is a lot. I'm not resting. I still have to work. I still have to, keep my
Yeah.
sanity. And it was a lot, but fast forward, here we are now, 5 years, and it is such a difference in his behavior, how we communicate. Like, I know him like the back of my hand now. Like,
Yeah.
I can tell in his face when he's about to do something before he does it, and I look, you
Yeah.
better not do it. I see you. You better not touch it. So it's so much better. It's so much better.
And I just want to say I commend you on being very open and honest. How you said like you were looking like it to put him in the system.
Yeah.
There was a time period, and I don't talk about it because I feel like the autism community is so critical. Like you say the wrong thing, and it's like off with your head.
Hmm.
But it was a time I was literally like looking for in-home facilities
Yes.
where I could go visit him, but I
Yes.
wanted them to kind of help him because in my mind I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I love how open you are about that because I really was like, when I reflect back on it, I feel bad because I'm like, I'm a bad mom. Like, I really wanted to drop my child off.
I know.
I was gonna I was gonna go visit him. I was gonna pick him up for the holidays. Like I was
Yes.
still gonna be an active mom, but I think for me it was the lack of knowledge about autism. This is
Yes.
my first child. This wasn't according to plan, but now it's like you say, I know him and I'm just enjoying it. I'm glad it
Yes.
wasn't anywhere that I could do that, because I would probably regret it 9 times out of 10,
Yeah.
because I understand him better. But I love how open and honest, you are about that. So you are a single mom. I'm a single mom as well. How's your support system?
It's 50-50. I feel like I feel like they people tend to get like a little nervous when dealing with him because they don't know what to expect. They don't know, they're like a little afraid, like, oh, what if he do this? What if he does this and I don't see it? Or, because he's very active and he's fast and he gets into everything. And he has pica, like he puts everything in his mouth. Soap, sponges, everything. He doesn't care. So it's 50-50. It's like the support is there, but I feel like it could be better.
Okay.
I feel like people when they see you handling something so well in their mind, oh, she has it, she got it. She don't
Yeah.
she don't need any help. She got it. She's doing a good job.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no, I'm fighting for my life over here. Like I'm
And I'm
fighting
like
for
a
my
war
life.
dog.
Somebody call me, text me, please. Like I would be on the phone for hours with people just to kind of distract myself from
Yeah, I
just the
get it.
day that I had. Like, I'm like, I need to call somebody. I need to talk. Even if it's not about him, I just need to be on the phone.
Yeah,
Like I was trying to find ways to deal with it. I do feel like my support system could be better.
yeah,
In all honesty, it's there, but it's still not all of the support that I would like.
yeah,
So I've come to terms and I've learned, like he is my child, and like nobody's obligated to like do anything for him or to want to be a part of his life or whatever the case may be. So I made peace with that, and I just try to like pretty much enjoy the boys as much as I can, and when I can get that free time, I take it. So just coming to terms that sometimes the support system is not what you may want it to be, but
you got to make the best of it. I've learned.
yeah.
I have a pretty great support system, but I think for me it's more of me. I don't want to feel like he's a burden on anyone
Right.
else.
Yes.
And I know how I handle situations with him. And I
Yes.
think he knows as well, like, okay, if I do this, I know mommy is going to handle it this way. But if somebody else kind of
Yeah.
like gets him, they're not going to handle it that way. So it's a big fear for me um,
Yeah.
when it comes to that. So you mentioned a little bit about denial. So, were you in denial about autism, or were you just like, I'm not getting him diagnosed? Or was it, I have him diagnosed, but I'm going to wait and see how he progresses?
Um, I feel like all of the above in some way. um, I didn't want anything to be wrong with him because I was just like, that's not putting face. He's fine. He'll talk when he's ready. He'll play when he's ready. He was advancing in the beginning. He was doing everything, a infant going into toddler stage does. And he just wasn't like talking, and I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to rush it because kids, they're on their own time. I don't want to force it, but then it was just like, girl, stop it. Like you see other kids around you who are his age, and he's not doing none of the things that they are. Like, something's wrong, and he needs the help. Like when they started coming to my home, that's when it really hit me because I'm like, I really have people coming to my home to, help my son, and it was just such a weird feeling because I'm like, I'm his mom. I should be able to help him. I should be able you know, to get him through this. And it was just like knowing that I had needed that assistance was kind of like, I didn't feel like a bad mom, but it was more so of like, wow, like I really need other people to step in and do something. I feel like I should be able to do a handle on my own.
Right. And honestly, I, we're not bad moms, but I think it is okay to feel that emotion, because
Mhm.
in actuality, it does feel like a failure, because
Yeah.
it's like other people have to come in and tell me about my child. And
Yeah.
I have to take him somewhere to get assistance in how to assist him. Like I always tell his BCBA, I'm like, you're his other parent. because
Yeah.
I'm literally making notes over the weekend to let her know, like, hey, this is what happened. Like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
I felt like a bad mom. I always feel like a bad mom at times, but I just have to really like process everything. But I honestly think it's okay to kind of have that emotion because like we're not really in a normal situation and it was very
Yeah.
unexpected, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so you have two boys. Your other son is atypical, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How does he handle like? Because I know he noticed a difference. Kids are extremely smart. Like, how does
Yeah.
he handle like everything throughout the house? Like, does he assist you with your oldest son? Like,
That is little big brother
oh,
with his little self. Yes. He is something else. He's like, Kelson, no, no, that's dangerous. Don't do that. Mommy said, stop, Kelson. Don't do that. He's like my second voice. It's so
oh,
funny.
I love that.
He's like, Mommy, Kelson's hungry. Kelson, are you okay? Like he's so in tune and he's so I love how they're very close. They get on each other's nerves, Lord knows, but they are very, very close. Like they give each other
Uh-huh.
hugs and kisses. He
Oh,
always kiss him and say, I love you, brother. Like they like I love how like in tune he is with Kelson, with him being so young because he really understands his brother. They have conversations that I don't understand,
oh,
and I just be watching, and Carter would just be talking, and Kelson's listening on in his head as if he's like, "Yep, and I'm like, "What y'all talking about? Like, I want to know."
let me be a part of the conversation. And
Like, I was just
he's
like,
nonverbal.
my 4-year-old, yes,
He's nonverbal. Okay. Is he in ABA and speech?
yes, yep. He has ABA Monday through Friday from 9 to 4:30, but a split in half, and he
Okay.
has speech on Fridays.
Okay. And how do you like ABA?
I had my I was skeptical at first because it was, the mixed reviews, like, oh, ABA is bad, they're
Mhm.
aggressive, da da da. So I was like, I won't know until I try. And honestly, I need the extra help. So I was like, why not? Um, so I did my research, I found a company that he's with. And when they first came to my home, they were very welcoming. Of course, him naturally, he was just backing away, like, nope, I don't know y'all, leave me alone.
Right.
The first 2, 3 weeks was him like kind of getting used to them and like crying, just because he just didn't want to be bothered. He was just used to having his own routine, playing and watching TV.
Right.
So it was different for him. Like he's like, oh, I have a schedule. Oh, now I have to do this and I have to do that. But as time went on, I was amazed at how much that child knew. I underestimated him so much. And I think because like I shielded him so much and I was always like feeding him because he didn't hold a utensil until he was about almost 3 years old. So I was always feeding him and, holding his cup in his mouth to drink his juice or water. Like I was doing everything for him. So I got so used to that I wasn't allowing him to learn how to do those things on his own. And once I stepped away when ABA came in, I was like, he can do all of these things I've been doing for him. I just never gave him the chance.
And plus, they know we're gonna do it for them
Exactly, because he will watch me with a smile, feed him, and zipping up his coat, and lo and behold, he knows how to do that.
because even for us, like Aiden, he's very independent, but it was certain things I would try to get him to do.
Yeah.
And I would get, they give us the daily reports, and I'm like, he
Yep.
did what? And I'm like, I try
Yep.
to get him to do that at home, and he doesn't do that. So at that moment, I realized, like, you know how to do a lot of things, so I'm gonna start letting you do things on your own. Um, Also, I'm glad you did try ABA because I think a lot of parents listen to the reviews that are on social
Mhm.
media about ABA therapy. Me being
Mhm.
one of them, because I wasn't going to let him go to ABA therapy
Yeah.
originally because I was like reading all of the reviews and I was listening to the stories that other parents were saying. And so now I am like one of the parents. I am pro ABA, but at the same time, I'm like, if you see that it doesn't work for your child, then pull them out. But don't
Yeah.
just automatically think ABA doesn't work because of what somebody else said.
Yeah.
Um, I always say, and I tell, like, when I talk to other moms, I always say I hate like the bad reviews about ABA therapy, only because it's a treatment, which treatment is like medication. So it's like it may work or it may not work.
May
So,
not. Yep.
you
Yep.
know. So, what are some of the biggest challenges that you face being an autism mom?
Having a social life is like the big thing for me right now. Yeah, that was non-existent for quite some time. Just getting out and wanting to go to the movies or out to eat. Because I didn't trust anyone to like watch him. So I
Yeah,
was just like, you know what, I'm just not going to go. So I would get invited to events and places, and I just didn't go because I didn't really, if it wasn't his dad or my mom, I just was like, yeah, I can't go because if they're not available or they're not going to do it, I'm not sending him with anybody else. So missing out on different things, trips. Thankful for my friends, my sisters, because a lot of times the dynamic can change within like circles and friend groups when you going through life changing things like that. But they have
yeah,
been very supportive, and they still find ways to include me. And they even like will come to me and we'll do stuff together, or they'll be like, "Hey, I'll come and sit with him. Go get your nails and toes done," or like they find ways to try to alleviate some stress off of me, which I really appreciate.
oh, that's
For me, the big
amazing.
thing was a social life, like wanting
Yeah,
to get out and date. Although I was like, I don't even have the energy to even date. But in my mind, it was just like the thought of just dressing up, going to have a drink, dressing up, going to go have dinner by myself,
yeah,
walking around the mall. The little things that I now wish I would have done more. Because I'm just like, it can be, it's a lot, especially,
it's a lot.
yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. That's the only word for it. It's a lot.
Yeah,
Um, as you mentioned dating, do you date? How do you feel dating as an autism mom?
I've tried it and it doesn't last long. Only because it's like I can't really say I'm going to be available this day because
Right.
it's like if they're home, it's like okay, I can't go. And then if it's a day I know they're going to be leaving, and then something comes up, or I
Yeah,
might just get in my own way, honestly, and I'm just like, oh, I can't make it because making excuses
excuses.
because I'm just like, you know what, I don't know, I'm just not going to go. So it's been, I don't know, it's just been very interesting,
It's
very interesting.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think as far as dating as an autism mom, it's different. And
yeah,
you have to have a very understanding person to
yeah,
date for it to work. And it was this guy, he was talking on TikTok and and I didn't think about it like that. He was like, people think it's easy dating a parent that has an autism child, a child on the spectrum,
yeah,
and they think it's gonna be, oh, as soon as you plan a date or as soon as I plan a date, like it's gonna go accordingly. But that might not happen depending on how my child is behaving this particular day.
yes,
And that is that's the thing for me. But then another thing is also getting somebody to completely understand him,
yeah,
because for me, I feel like with Aiden, you can kind of look at him and you're like, oh, he's fine. He just don't talk. Like I've had like a guy say that to me. He was like, he just can't talk. But it's like, yeah, you haven't seen the real him. And then when they see
exactly.
the real him, it's like, yeah, like,
Mhm,
so that is
mhm,
a really like sometimes I'm like, I do want to date, and then the other part of me is like, I'd rather just not have to explain all of
yeah,
this. It gets hard. So
yeah,
it'll work out for us though. It's somebody that's understanding. And even
yes.
the guy, I'm gonna send you that video. Even the guy before TikTok leaves, but I'm gonna send you that video today.
Okay.
But he was saying that he really would like to date an autism mom just to see, but then it's like, would that work? I don't know. What would your advice to a new mom coming in on this journey?
Um, trust the process. Trust the process. Trust the process.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's all we can do. It's really no like right or wrong answer to like how we handle situations and our kids and everything. Because we're really just doing what we know and what we feel is best for our household. So like just trusting yourself and understanding that your child is still they're still a child. Like just because they're on the spectrum doesn't mean like they're aliens or like like it's just like this, oh my God, like it's just like no, they still want to play, they still want to go outside, they still want to enjoy life. So don't take that away from yourself or your child because of a diagnosis. Like
Right.
still treat them as you would any other child. Still give them the experiences that you would any other child. And I had to learn that because I used to isolate myself a lot because I just didn't want people to see him rocking back and forth or ask me questions about why did he want to walk around with shoes? Why does he rock back and forth? Why did he do that? Because I would get those questions and I got tired of answering them because
Right.
people are curious and they want to know. And I don't mind asking the questions, but if I'm coming out to have a good time, I don't want to sit there and have to answer 50
Right.
million questions about my son. I just want to enjoy myself.
Yeah.
So
Do you get out often, like with your son, or is it kind of like you're still in that place where y'all don't get out much?
oh, we get out now. We get out
Oh,
more than what we used to. And I get out more. I make it my business to plan trips. And I let his dad and my mom know, like, oh, I already booked this flight. I'm going. You'll have the kids. See you when I see you. Like I had to kind of like enforce it because it's like I have to have a life outside of all of
right.
this. So for his birthday, it was on January 7th. We went
Uh-huh.
to a kids' world indoor playground here, and
Uh-huh.
he enjoyed himself. It was empty. It was just us, and I let him run wild because I was able to see him. He had a blast, him and his brother, and then we went out to eat, and he did amazing at the restaurant. Amazing. The last
Oh,
time we went to a restaurant, he was 3 years old, and it didn't go well.
just
But
had to
when we
grow a
went,
little bit.
yeah, when we went, I was a little skeptical, but I was like, you know what? Let's go. It's your birthday. Let's go eat. Um, he did great. Like I
That's good.
was so happy and so proud of him. I kept telling him how proud I was. He was just smiling, and I was just like, "Oh my God,
Oh,
we haven't done this in years." And I'm like, "You're such a big
yeah.
boy,"
I love that.
So
I think
yeah,
it's important for us to get our babies out of the house and let them
yes,
experience life as well. I know for me, it wasn't so much of like not going outside. It was more so of me like I was very defensive, like with
yes,
people looking at him. And I think within the last year, I just got to the point like you can stare. Like I'm not about to waste my
yeah,
energy because autism is so popular now. It's no way that you don't know about it. Like
yeah,
everybody knows about autism. So I pulled that defensive wall that down and I'm like, let's go eating. Let's go eat. And if you have a
yeah.
problem, you just have a problem. To explain autism to someone that has no clue about autism and they're entering you all's world.
Um, I just always tell people like autism is just the umbrella of just a lot of things. And to not look at any my child, any child that has autism as if it's like this big disease. Autism is just a spectrum where our kids are either they're verbal, they're nonverbal, depend on their behaviors and things of that nature. It's so much to go into autism, like
Yeah.
so much. I used to work with high schoolers who had autism here. We have Kennedy Krieger Institute here,
Okay.
where I worked with a lot of um, which breaks my heart. A lot of like kids, our children's age, and teenagers and adults who were dropped off from all over the world that they get dropped off and nobody comes back for them.
Oh.
So
And they have
they're that
autism?
yeah.
Oh God.
And a lot of them have like severe behavior issues, and it's just like a lot of like psychological things that goes on with them.
Mhm.
Like they literally are raised there. Um And I've worked with little kids who were like as young as 2 years old, where their parents just was like, I can't do it. The behavior is too much. They would drop their kid off. They will call on holidays and birthdays, but they don't come back for their kids.
They don't even come
Um,
visit.
some do. A lot of kids don't get visits. A lot of them didn't on birthdays or nothing. Yeah, when I saw that, I was just like, this can't be real. I was just like, so they're just dropping their kids off and they just go. They just go. And they're raised in that building with other kids like them. And it was just something I was just, I don't know, it was insane. Granted, a lot of them there were like, especially like the young men who were like tall or maybe like bigger and stronger, who had like really bad behavior issues and were
Mhm.
aggressive. I can understand to an extent why the help, they needed
Was
some
needed.
type of help. But that's why I say like autism is, it's so much more than just what people see on social media. Like I've actually worked with young kids and teens and adults who
Mhm.
have it, and it's just beyond a spectrum in my opinion. It's so many different, it's just
There's
what we
levels
see
to
on.
it. Yeah.
Yes, very much so. When I worked at the high school, we had a student where if her stomach started hurting, she would try to attack the whole classroom just from her stomach hurting.
Yeah.
Literally, we knew when she stood up, oh, she's having stomach pains, back up. Like something
Mhm.
like that. We had another student where she had to put a jumper on backwards because she would play in her.
Yeah.
So
I've heard
we
of
had
that.
to, yeah, like I've saw so much, and it just blows my mind. And I'm like, it's so much more to it that a lot of people don't see, and a lot of people honestly don't understand it. I
Mhm.
think because like on social media, when we talk about like our kids and stuff like that, and they're like, oh, yeah, my child, he's autistic and he does this, this, and this. And then people just take that and run with it, like, oh, okay. And I'm like, it's so much deeper than
There's
what,
so much. Yeah.
yeah, it's so much deeper.
Just to backtrack a little bit. So the kids that get dropped off, like how long do they stay in the institute? Like what happens like when they age out, or is it an age out?
Um, they get sent to one of those homes where they
Okay.
have like care there like 24/7 on the hour, especially if they're not able to do things for themselves. So they just basically just get transferred to like another home where they'll
Okay.
live until, yeah.
See, that made me feel bad, but I'm gonna go pick my baby up. I'm just
That's why, when I was saying like, oh, I'm gonna drop him off, and I was like, because I know I can, because we have it here where you can drop them
yeah,
off. But I was like, I couldn't do that because I couldn't live with myself if
yeah.
I just did that and then just went on with my life. So
Yeah, because it's kind of
yeah,
like the child doesn't even exist. Like I said, I was
yeah,
going to get my baby back. I just needed them to help him, control some of his aggression because he was, for two, he was a bit aggressive. Like the
hmm,
aggression that he had was like, why are you this angry at two?
yes,
And
yes,
and for us, I had, now that I know more about autism, I had to realize like my baby was talking and he stopped
yeah,
talking. So a
yes,
lot of his aggression was like in his head, he probably was like, I did this before and now I
yeah,
can't do it again. But for him to be too, like he was around here headbutting people, like
yes,
he went through a stage where he was hitting us, but we got that up under control really, really quick. Now he's like the sweetest baby ever. Like,
oh,
but that makes me so sad because I'm like, how could
yeah,
you just? I don't care what's wrong with your child. Like, how can you
yeah.
just pretend like they don't exist or at least visit? You know?
Yeah, that's why I commend us moms who stick it in, because mind you, a lot of these kids' parents are very wealthy.
Yeah.
They're like doctors and lawyers, and like they are trapping their kids out there. Like, oh no, I can't do it. I don't want to deal with it. Here you go. Like
Yeah.
that's just it. Like they just drop them off. Like, oh, it's just too much. Just go ahead. I can't do it, and they just go on with their lives. So I'm just like, I commend like parents like us that's, we're not giving up. We're doing what we need to do to make sure that they're okay, because like I said, it's kids who don't have their mom and dad like
Um,
there. in the system. They're dropped off at this location where they're not with their siblings anymore. They, I don't want to say that their parents gave up on them, but they didn't give them a chance.
Then I mean, just give up.
Yeah, and
Give
that's why I
up,
said I wanted to
you
give my
know?
son,
Yeah,
I want to give my son a chance because a lot of
yeah,
those kids didn't have that. Like
have
they're
that.
growing up and where they shouldn't be, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Poor babies. I hate that. That is like so
Yeah.
sad. Like, because I remember when we talked briefly, but I was thinking it was like a kind of like ABA center, like just more intense. But I didn't know it was like to that
Yeah.
extreme. And then
Yeah, we
just
have outpatient and
uh-huh.
inpatient. So yeah.
Poor babies. What is your confession as an autism mom?
um my confession as an autism mom, I would say that I wish my son didn't have this diagnosis. I say it all the time. Like I just wish, not that I don't ever say that I wish he was normal, but I just wish this wasn't our life. I wish that this wasn't his life. Because I know, like, for a lot of parents, it's hard to say that out loud because you don't want to feel like you don't care about your child or you don't want to look bad. But I wish that he didn't have autism, because I feel like it has really changed my life, the dynamic of our household, and just everything, because everything that I saw for us has changed. And that was the one of the things that I had to like kind of accept, which was hard. Like the life that I saw for him and for us, it's just not what it is. So I would say that.
Thank you for being so brave and saying that because I am one of the moms that are afraid to say that.
Yeah,
And I commend you so much for saying that. And it's not that I don't love him,
yeah,
and it's not that I have not accepted it. It's just, it changes your whole world. And
yes,
like you say, when you're pregnant and then you find out you're having a
yes,
boy, like my thing was, oh my God, I'm gonna be a football mom, a soccer mom. Like I had all these plans for him, and now it's like, oh, we're going to therapy and we're waking up early in
yeah,
the morning doing ABA, and
yeah,
I gotta sit in parent training for an hour to completely understand somebody that I birthed and I'm with
yeah.
24/7. So kudos to you for being so brave for saying that because I'm not one of them that
It was,
like
yeah, it took me a long time because I used to feel bad for even like thinking like that. But I was like, you know what? It is what it is. Like this is my life. This is my reality. I have to live in this. So I was like, I just wish he didn't have to go through this. I want him to do whatever it is he wants to do at 5 years old. But we have therapy sessions. We have speech sessions. We're not doing what, our average 5-year-olds are doing. So yeah.
oh, thank you for being so brave and saying that because I'm sure a lot of moms are afraid to
Yeah.
say it and they're gonna completely agree with you when it comes to this.
I'll say that for everybody. So
Thank you. So where can everyone find you on social media? And I know you also mentioned that you have a foundation for homeless people. Can you elaborate on that for me?
yes, so I started the Linda D. Chase Foundation February of 2023 in honor of my grandmother, Linda Chase, who passed away a year prior to me starting the nonprofit. We go around and we help the homeless, vulnerable populations, and we just pretty much give back. I had took a break from it, but I'm getting back to pulling my more of my time into it and just putting myself back out there.
Okay. And where can everyone find you on social media? And I'll also put it in the description box as well, you all.
Yes, you can find me on TikTok if it doesn't go away at the Linda D. Chase Foundation, on Instagram and Facebook, Linda D. Chase Foundation Inc. You just type it in and it'll pop right up.
Perfect. And like I say, I will put that in the description box. So they thank you for being so open and so vulnerable and even sharing
Yes.
thoughts that we don't want to share. Because that is the purpose of Confessions of an Autism Mom is to
Yeah.
just say your pure thoughts and be authentic. about things that we normally wouldn't say, and we want to say it because this is a judgment free zone. So
Yeah.
I do appreciate that from you, and you even made me admit to things that I've said to myself that I would never say like out loud. But I do appreciate you, and we need more moms like you who are just open and honest about their true
Yeah.
feelings. So you all, we will see y'all next week. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and comment. Also, go and follow Shaday on her TikTok and her Instagram page. And also, familiarize yourself with her foundation for homeless people. She's located in Maryland. So if you are in that
Yes.
area, reach out, help if you know someone that is homeless. And again,
Yes.
we thank you for joining us today, Shaday.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see y'all later. Bye, y'all.
Bye bye.